true.
The follow-up to that question is, when you realized you'd be working together again, what did you both think?
Well, I mean, I can answer that because there's an extension to that first question, which was that, you know, then there was this possibility floating around. I saw Mads. Mads came through New York as it happened, and we came to see the play and so on.
The same play. Everybody saw that.
Everybody saw this play, right? We could do the play. No. Hey.
We got the time.
Let's put on a show, kid.
Yeah, you think Hannibal's kinky. But it took a while for all of this to, you know, for it to go through the processes that has to go through, for everybody to sign off on it, and you know, and so on and so forth. And I was in the theater in my dressing room when I got a call from Brian, like 10 minutes before, or I think it was just before I went on stage, and you know, it was the call I've been waiting for a while. So.
Yeah.
Thank God, because, you know, like all great parts that are fantastically acted, there are multiple bad versions. You know, I mean, most good acting is brilliantly navigating a way through many pitfalls, potential pitfalls, and so I had those kind of specters in my mind, those possible specters, and I had foreseen what a good experience this might be.
Yeah. Maz?
No, I'm getting all
thinking of
touched
something
here.
else.
Yeah, no, it's very, no, it's very emotional to hear all this. Very, thank you. Yeah, we spent 6 months together on a horse, or
Two horses. So
of course, as you can imagine, we got quite close. No, we spent a lot of time. We became friends there. We've seen each other every time I've been in London or wherever. Since then, I've always called him, and it's just been one of those relationships. We've seen each other's works, and we never really dreamed about that one day we might do something.
No, actually that's not true. Because when we did King Arthur, maybe after a few beers, Mads was like, "You should make a movie in Denmark." Like,
but I say that
I guess
to
I probably
everyone.
won't get to work with Mads.
He said that to me, though, so that don't really mean nothing.
Yeah. No, even at the time,
I say that to the guy who was stealing my pizza. No, I mean, it was just a it was a fantastic gift. Another benefit of, this is, as we said before, these are big shoes, not only for the guy who's going to play Hannibal, for everybody who's involved in it, because it's such an iconic film and book.
Yeah.
So spending that much time with a fellow actor, as I knew I would do with Hugh, it was just a fantastic gift that we knew each other, because we will not only be in the room, we will have to be, to a degree, emotionally naked in certain situations, right? And it's just nice that you feel comfortable. Yeah. And I think that we were all smitten by that. We knew each other in the sense that everybody became really close really fast on the show, and that is a gift.
That brings up a question. A lot of people were kind of tweeting this at me too. They were saying, how do you, this is for both Mads and Brian, how do you manage the expectations of the kind of the fan base around this iconic character? Because you are messing with it a little bit in your own way, so.
Well, I think because we are kind of reinventing, it's given us some leeway to go places that are inspired by the books, and it's also, the book has been adapted twice, so if we did the same thing, we're assholes, so we have to change it up.
Ditto?
Yeah.
Yes. Good. Well, I think we should go to the question that was asked on the Paley Center app. This is for the entire panel. It's which moment or scene has been the defining moment for your character in season 2, where audiences can look at the scene and go, yeah, that's what the character is about. So, ladies first.
I don't know why. I went straight to that fivesome with the staff.
I know why.
That might be my final answer.
There you go. Are you not saying you and us in the same bed? No.
That's what she said. Yeah.
Oh, she did. Still struggling with the language.
He's so ready to be indignant.
Save my day. Save my day.
It might be what you said earlier, which is, can I borrow your imagination? What you said.
Very that one.
Good. No, it might be what you said.
Yes.
earlier about can I borrow your imagination?
Yeah.
But I like to think it's something else. And I'm not sure what it is. I'd like to think it's how crazy is he? What kind of crazy is he?
Yeah.
I'd like to think it's what kind of crazy is he?
What about use the ladies' room?
Yeah.
Use the ladies' room. Use the ladies' room's good.
Because even though that was season 1, it kind of echoed through season 2. You can still hear it like, ringing around the studio.
We were also afraid that it will come again.
Would be.
It's a tricky question, right? I have to say it's a tricky question, but everybody's going to say that.
Yeah.
And I would also, obviously, the finales, there's something there obviously happening that we cannot help talking about. But I would say it's probably one of the moments early on, maybe mid-first season, where I spent some quality time in a therapy session with you. And he's flying away. I can't remember the episode. He's flying away thinking about something. And I have the chance, Hannibal has the chance to watch him. And he becomes very warm watching him. He becomes, he sees not only this brilliant person, but he sees something he loves. I think that is the definition of Hannibal, and very blurry answer, but yeah.
Well, it's a tricky question. I mean, actually, I'd have to give the same answer as Mads. It's a kind of amalgamation of those therapy scenes, because for me, you know, it always comes back to that. It's such a specific thing to be able to do, like 2 or 3 times. I'm talking about the first 2 seasons, but 2 or 3 times an episode to do long, rich dialogue scenes just sat opposite another actor, and so the dynamism of the scene is to a large degree in the hands of the director and what he does with his camera and the DP, and we just get to play with the words and and figure out the relationship between the characters in there. And I mean, what's been great is how those scenes, even though they're static and set in the same 2 seats, have changed and grown over the 2 seasons. So that in the last season, we were, you know, there's a scene when I can't remember. I actually haven't seen the 2nd season, but when.
Well, you've lived it.
When what's that?
You've lived it.
Yeah, it's not like, I mean, I know what happens. So. You know, when I think Hannibal asks me, like, why did I tell, God, this is terrible.
Names?
Yeah, Mason. No, I think it's like, why did I tell Mason about him? And I say, I just wanted to see what would happen.
Yeah.
And he really is entering into the same spirit that Hannibal went right through season 1. That was great.
Yeah. You brought up the behind-the-scenes crew, and I'd like to touch on some of them because they're essential, I think, to the mood of the show. So specifically, I thought you talk about James Hawkinson, who's the cinematographer. He, I think, shot most of the episodes. There might have been 2 where he didn't.
Yes.
Yeah. But it clearly set a visual template for the show that was immediately striking. So I was curious about, you know, him and everybody's like working with him.
Well, I first met Jim through David Slade, who had worked with him a couple of times, and what I think is so brilliant about Jim's cinematography is that he paints on velvet. Like the blacks are all velvety black, and so it really is a show that is all about the contrast of darkness and light, which he got the psychology of the show, and I think that's why the aesthetic is so powerful, is that it really represents that conflict between dark and light in Will Graham's heart.
And how is he to work with on set? Like,
look, Hawk is like our own little private American horror show.
I was so curious where your answer was. Because I could imagine all.
Hawk is one of, you know, he's one of the few Americans that are on our set.
Yeah.
Our set are mostly Canadians, and the Dane here, our English fellow here. This fine young thing.
She's Canadian.
Our Quebecois over here, you know. So Hawk is one of the only Americans on our set.
Yeah.
And
But he makes up for it.
yeah, he tries, doesn't he?
Yeah.
No, he's real ugly and he's real loud when he wants to be. But he just, there's something about him that, you know, that thing you were talking about, the shadow and the light thing, like Jim is living that.
He has
while
that.
we're-
Yeah,
he's living the shadow and the light thing while we're working.
I tell you a
season.
story about Jim in the first season. In the second episode of the first season, there's a scene where we're in Hannibal's office, and I was kind of leaning up against the pillar which supports the the thing at the top.
That's been gifed, like all over the internet.
I don't. What's that?
This is you. This is him.
No. I think we're thinking of a different scene. Not when I'm on the ladder. Maybe you're thinking about the ladder. Yeah. Yes, I am aware. No, I'm leaning against this pillar, and Mads is standing like where his desk is, like looking for, facing, so up the other end of the room are the cameras and the lights, and we're in the middle of the scene, and the camera it's kind of over Mads onto me, and suddenly in the middle of the scene, the door to Hannibal's office opens, and Jim comes in, walks the entire width of the room, like this. And he gets to the camera, and he whispers in the camera operator like some note, and then rather than just staying still, he turns around, he goes all the way back. So he's special, Jim.
Yeah. Yeah.
Funny. Well, let's then talk about the music by Brian Reitzell.
Yeah.
Which sometimes it isn't even like traditional music. It's just like a soundscape that weaves its way through. So.
Well, I think what Brian does is score and sound design, because when we go to the mixing stage, we usually bury all of the Foley and all of everything but the music. The music kind of carries things because inside the music is a lot of sound design. And Brian Reitzell, when we first sat down and talked about the show, because I love film scores. I've collected film scores since I was 7 or 8. And so I'm obsessed with them. And on Pushing Daisies, we had a very traditional film score that was very melodic. And it was easier to talk about that with my background. But with Brian, I was like, it's psychological. And I don't know how to tell you to do that. So I have to trust you completely to develop your own soundscape. And it's the first time I've worked with a composer where I just trust him to do whatever he wants. And it's always amazing.
Does everyone have a favorite particular episode that he scored?
I love his slowed down Goldberg variation and the finale.
Yeah.
I think it resonates at the same frequency as my tear glands. So it's very powerful.
Yeah.
I always remember the scene in the first season when Hannibal prepares the dinner party.
Yeah.
And I think that the final line, and I don't want to misquote it, was that nothing at this table is
Nothing here is vegetarian.
Nothing here is vegetarian. And he takes those 3 notes and punctuates the words. I thought it was spectacular.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, with
Go on,
anything that any good composing to any film is the one you do not pay attention to, right? Honestly,
Or clever. Clever.
But but for that reason, even though, obviously it is spectacular once in a while, it is as if you do not notice it was there. What was that? What happened, right?
Yeah.
So I can't answer that question.
I can't answer, only in this way I can answer. I have not watched everything. I've watched early episodes of 1 and the first of 2. Part of the reason is I'm really I got a backlog of other things that I'm watching, that I'm so involved in, and watching those things I don't have to suffer watching myself.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's good. And then the other thing is, I know, like everything else that I'm watching, it's really good that if I start watching, I won't stop. And I don't have time right now. And I want to I like to have distance on the stuff that I'm doing before I actually jump into it. But I can't wait to get to the place where I'm going, wow, the music is so amazing. So I'm going to get there.
Good.
Well, I'll have to add before you. Cats in the basement while you're here, actually. Cats in the basement.
Oh, yeah.
Where I come and find her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something happened there as well that was beyond just us in a room. There was, whoa.
Yeah.
That was a sound in there. Was it a sound? Was it music? I don't know.
It was all
Yeah.
It was working for me.
It was Brian, yeah.
God, I don't remember a specific moment. I guess it goes back to what you were saying. I mean, I live it. I don't notice it, and it's probably because it's working.
Yeah.
So
It's hard to quantify it because it's not melodic.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, I like the song that goes da 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 da.
Where does
We don't do that.
the ticking clock in the finale? Where did
that's-
that
yeah.
originate from?
Brian.
That was brilliant.
Yeah.
I thought it was brilliant.
No, one of the episodes I watched today was the beginning of season 2 with the down the throat, the ear, which is like he does something with the sound of the.
That's actually Hugh.
That was a me. Yeah.
But he does something with the sound of the pipe as well on the
He
soundtrack.
took a
or something.
plastic corrugated tube and just went like that.
Excuse me.
He's never watching it.
I forgot all these terrible things.
You've done. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, remembering it now.
It will never be the same.
And let's talk directors, because you've got a lot of very interesting, like originally feature-trained directors in a lot of cases, like Tim Hunter and David Slade and Vincenzo Natali now and everything, who I think is directing the opener of season 3. Vincenzo, right?
Vincenzo's directing 5 of the first 6 episodes.
So they.
Yeah. It really boils down to the template that David Slade created, and I've been a fan of David's. When I saw Hard Candy, I just thought it was brilliant. It was also gorgeous and very subversive and smart, and so David really has a rough elegance to him that felt like it matched the world. So I think everyone who's come in from Vincenzo Natali to Guillermo Navarro, who's an Oscar-winning cinematographer, they continue to elevate and personalize their view of the show. And everyone who comes in is so inspired by the cast in different ways that you can track who is getting the most emotional kick for that director in terms of the characters.
Does anyone have a favorite directorial moment?
I really enjoyed Navarro a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a great time with Navarro.
But it was interesting watching Guillermo because I don't know how much he directed before, but
It was his first official.
Right. And he just obviously knows his way around a camera just unbelievably. But so having the opportunity, I think he did 3 maybe episodes, was it in the first season? Or was it
2 in the
it
first
was only
season,
2, yeah. But even just over the course of those 2, watching him going into that and interacting in a different way, that was a privilege.
Yeah. The guest stars on the show, I think we need to touch on, because it's interesting because a lot of them sometimes are just like 1 or 2 scene B plots that kind of then comment on the Will Hannibal relationship. I think especially for me, Amanda Plummer's acupuncturist was one particular. But I have a list here just like Jeremy Davies. You made
He
even
was
crazier than I thought he could be.
It was amazing. Amazing.
And Lance Henriksen popping up for a scene,
Yes.
and I want more Ellen Green. I hope you'll put her in again. I wondered if you could talk about some of the guest stars that you've cast, and maybe hint at maybe some who might be on tap.
Well, I love actors, and I've been very fortunate to work with some amazing ones who will do us a favor and come in and do a part that normally they wouldn't do because it's a short burst. But the real reason that we get all of those actors is this cast, because everybody they're like, oh, I get a chance to work with Lawrence and Maz and Hugh and Carolee. Like, so they're the bait, and that's primarily why we get such great. They're the master bait.
Yeah.
It's terrible. It's low hanging fruit.
Wow.
But the dailies for Amanda Plummer were
Amanda
such
Plummer.
a joy
Yeah.
to watch, because she's an actress who is so informed by her environment. So if Scott Thompson's stomach would growl in a take, she would use it in the scene, and that was one of the most fun times I've had editing a guest star, was Amanda Plummer. And you could see how Lawrence and Scott and Aaron loved working, like you guys were having so much fun.
I adore that woman.
Was that your favorite guest star to work with, would you say?
She's one of my
Yeah.
favorites. I also really enjoyed working with Eddie Izzard, too. He just, he was really low in the saddle. He just kind of got in it and was like,
Yeah.
yeah. Another one who, you know, when you talked about expectations, audience expectations, and how to manage them, it was like, he was like, no, I got this. I know what this world is. I know who this is.
Yeah.
True.
And he really, and you know, Raul also. Another